Good morning. Proof of live stream. I got Gandalf Gray saying smash that like, and that is financial advice. Latrell asking question. I woke up this morning and none of my ETH miners are working. Did something happen? I tried a different riser. Gundy Stephen Thing says, yo, good morning, Crypto Nation. Appreciate y'all being here live while we are starting off a brave new world. Oh my gosh, I had to say it. A brave new world in which Ethereum is now proof of stake. Let's talk about that and much, much more. There's so much more happening in the crypto ecosystem. Yes, Ethereum's move to proof of stake is groundbreaking, and it's finally here. It's very surreal to talk about it in the past tense as though the merge has actually happened, but it's actually happened. Yet, if you can believe it, there's actually more important news than just the merge. Stay tuned, smash that like, share the link while we're live. I need your help to shout it from the rooftops into YouTube's algorithm, right in its face, that this is important media that will help people to navigate their crypto journey. Thank you for being here with me live. Thank you for your support, and thank you in advance for assisting with that signal boost. If we have a slight interruption of our signal this morning, I am, as per usual, contending with a very naughty VPN. I'm not super happy with the VPN that I've been using lately for this particular workstation, so please bear with me if there's a mild interruption at certain segments of today's live stream. We shouldn't be affected too badly, but it has been known to happen in the past, and so that's half the reason I'm not on camera right now. Thank you for your patience. I will see you on screen very soon. It appears as though our split tunneling is working exactly as intended, so hopefully there wasn't too much of a slowdown there. All right. Awesome. While we're waiting for the stream to go fully live, tell me in the chat, what are you mining today? GPU mining fam, let's be loud. Let's be heard. Obviously, the Ethereum core developer community thought that we were worth kicking to the curb, but not everybody does. So which of the major GPU mineable projects are you sending your hash rate to? Are you taking future bets on those GPU mineable coins? Are you trying to make profit today or this week or this month? Let me know in the chat. Let's talk about that. This is important stuff for the noobs to know, and you are their guide. Well, this community is their guide as they tune in and try to see what's good. Also, just got the latest update to OBS. Apologies in advance if things are a little bit spotty with my scene switching because I jumped sight unseen from the latest. I think they did a pull request from Streamlabs, but the UI has had an overhaul on OBS, and it doesn't take up the usual amount of space on my screen that I expect. So apologies in advance if that seems a little bit strange or if any of my transitions appear a little bit awkward or slow. That was not my intention. It just happens sometimes. That is how it goes when we update things. Alrighty, let's just call it live. Let's call it good. My name is Seth. You're watching Mind Your Biz, and it is our morning live stream. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we've been doing this all the way up leading to the merge, and today is no exception. We've got post-merge news. We've got all kinds of corporate media news. We've got all kinds of additional topics that we cover in the live stream lineup, including our portfolios, which we've been tracking for the better part of a year. We're one of the only streaming channels that tracks a paper trade portfolio that is both updated, that we talk about, well, and I guess both updated, and then, of course, mineable, right? Proof of work mineable. We've got several assets that we've been talking about here on Mind Your Biz for years at this point, but tracking the price performance of for over a year and then making that fully public, talking very openly and really straightforwardly about the real world possibility of earning upside from that, actually deriving value from your mining operations. All right. One last hurrah for the I Mine NFTs hat. We're going to wear it today because as of last night, it's no longer true. If you were on Ethereum, your mining efforts no longer go towards securing NFTs. Think about it as our military personnel, similar to our military personnel here in the United States. They go put themselves in harm's way so that you can act like a crazy person at home and do psychotic things, such as badmouth the president of the United States if you want to. We have freedom of speech. You can assemble in places where you want to. We have freedom of assembly. You can go to church, any church you feel like. You can start your own church if you want to, and you can declare your beliefs boldly to the world here in the United States because of the sacrifices of the men and women of our armed forces. This is the logic that I follow, and it makes sense to me, and I absolutely appreciate what our members of the armed forces do. Think of miners in a similar situation. For years now, they have mined proof of work. They've put their livelihood on the line. It's not the same thing as putting life and limb on the line. I'm not saying it's the same thing as our armed forces, but in a similar way, they put forth sacrifice so that other people can trade JPEGs. So we used to mine NFTs. Now we just mine whatever else is good. Appreciate that viewer count pop. I see some new people in the viewers, in the viewer side of this live stream. Thank you for sharing this link while we're live. Appreciate the invite from Son of a Tech to jump onto the live stream last night. It was just a little bit too late, the last slot that he had open, for me to be able to take him up on that, but it was extremely generous of him to offer that. I'm bummed that I couldn't make it out. I needed just a little bit more sleep. Old man status kicked in, and I realized I needed that extra couple hours of sleep. So thank you, Son of a Tech, for doing that. Huge public service. I'm going to pick up the torch from this point. I don't know if he's live streaming at this point. Haven't checked, but going to pick up the torch and talk about our portfolios and talk about post-merge news, talk about what it means now that the merge has happened. And we'll check into a couple of tools that help us figure out what's happening on the Ethereum network and what's happening on several other proof-of-work networks where GPU miners may have gone. I see Automatic Beats in the chat saying, "Good morning, miners." Hey, thanks for being here, Automatic Beats. Thanks for spending some time with us over here at Mind Your Biz. Let me first off do a disclaimer. I'll just do it right now. One and done. None of what follows on today's live stream, as per usual, is intended as legal, financial, business, investing, self-defense, lawn care, child rearing, or any other type of life coaching advice. You're responsible for your own choices, and you need to behave as such. Don't go blaming some dude on YouTube who's wearing a hat that he got printed from the local print shop for all of your own poor life decisions, or for the lack of being able to jump into an asset in time. You got to put in the work. We're going to do as much as we can to cover these all of the market as possible so you can be more informed and more educated when you make those decisions. But this is for education and entertainment purposes only. Was that a really good disclaimer? Should I just do prepackaged disclaimers and sell them to other YouTubers so they can just press play? That'd be pretty great, right? Just here, Mind Your Biz everywhere. This is not financial advice. Just play it back. Roll the tape. All right. jump into today's live news. We're going to do straight news right here. This is all news. Forecast has the news on Thailand banning crypto lending and staking services. What? I thought Thailand was meant to be sort of a crypto tax haven, wasn't it? Wasn't Thailand putting forth legislation that was going to make it better for crypto people? Well, kinda yes, kinda no. This is a step in the direction of more tight regulation, and I think we're going to see this overall. Huge shout out and thanks to Mrs. Mind Your Biz for lining up today's news articles. Expect to hear Mrs. Mind Your Biz on a few episodes in the coming days and weeks. Let me know if you want to start seeing the Mind Your Biz show with Mrs. Mind Your Biz. Let her know that you've got support for her jumping on and being a powerful woman in crypto, but in front of the scenes and not just behind the scenes. Your support and, of course, your vocal support of women in crypto is what makes it an environment for women to feel like they can take that leap of faith into an industry that historically, right, tech and STEM, has been a little bit more difficult for them to make that leap of faith. But I would appreciate that very much as a personal favor. If you do that in the chat, let Mrs. Mind Your Biz know that we would love to have her as well. If you can believe it or not, she and I met doing musical theater of all things. So she's a classically trained vocalist and vocal performer. Beautiful voice. I would love to hear it on the live stream. Let me know if you'd like to hear it too. All right, jump back into our screen share. Thailand is banning these lending and staking services. This is a little bit of an issue, right? It's not terrible that they're going into consumer protection or they're leaning towards consumer protection, but it could spell doom for the whole movement towards having more crypto people in Thailand. In the same way that it sounded really great to go to Puerto Rico, the tax benefits for U.S. citizens moving to Puerto Rico, especially if you're in cryptocurrency and cryptocurrency investing, sounded almost too good to be true. Well, lo and behold, several people who have moved to Puerto Rico have discovered that it kind of was too good to be true. Infrastructure was still kind of crumbling. The social environment and situation there is a little bit difficult if you're a flat out gringo. If you don't have Latin roots and if you don't know how to integrate into the culture, it's probably going to be a little bit awkward for you as an expat. That's just true almost anywhere you go. You're going to stick out like a sore thumb if you're a U.S. expat and you don't figure out how to get along with the culture and get fully integrated. But I've heard that from more than one person moving to Puerto Rico. And I don't know if maybe that's the direction that things are going to go for Thailand. But the regulator said in a press release that the decision was made to protect traders and the general public from business risks associated with companies offering depository services. And I do kind of appreciate that. I mean, if it's going to be a centralized service, if you're going to operate as a de facto bank, as we've seen with Coinbase and with Celsius and with all of the main centralized platforms in crypto right now, if you want to put that target on your back for regulators to hit, expect for them to take aim, right? That's just how it's going to go. So I'm not too shocked by that. Will it make it anti-competitive? We have yet to see. The lack of risk management from crypto stakers and lenders was brought to the attention of the global regulators after multiple services froze user withdrawals and crypto prices started to drop in the aftermath of Terra Luna's crash. Thailand is tightening its crypto oversight after the authorities were criticized for failing to protect local investors at ZipMex, a licensed crypto exchange that temporarily suspended its withdrawals in July. So they're kind of reacting against local news as well. Earlier this month, Thailand joined neighboring Singapore and India in cracking down on cryptocurrency advertisements. I think that is where there's the most chilling effect. Singapore and India, in my opinion, have not been the shining examples of the right regulatory environment, so to speak, the correct regulatory environment for competition in crypto. India in particular, right? It's talked about banning crypto multiple times over the years, and now kind of this, not letting companies that are starting to do well in the crypto ecosystem advertise. So it's quite a bit of a chilling effect in the competitive ecosystem. You tell me what you think of that. First off, got vocal support from Latrell saying, "Let's go, lady, mind your biz." Anyone know much about Caspa? I got one rig on Flux, going to do some cleaning and probably just spread it out. Not a bad idea. You definitely can diversify in the current market, and hedging those bets is probably going to pay off. If I had to venture a guess, Latrell, I think you're probably going to do probably better than many of our peers who are only focusing on one thing, right? Only Ergo or only Caspa or only Flux or only Raven. Going all in is generally not Generally not a good idea if you can't figure out how to muster up the conviction. If you can't prove that your conviction is warranted, then it's just gambling, right? Pulling it all on black, right? Putting it all on red. You may as well be gambling. So I think that's a very smart way of looking at that. And I hope it works out well for you, kind of spreading that out. Let's take a look at our next news over on Ethereum World News. We got Ethereum's proof of work hard fork. The token ethw, it nosedives after the merge. It rallied in the hours after the merge before crashing heavily. It's down 18% over the last 24 hours. As you know, in our portfolio tracker, we haven't even bothered to add it. That's how bad I think the outlook has been for ethw the entire time. If you are a swing trader, if you are highly aggressive with rapid high-frequency trades, then maybe it's going to be fine for you. Maybe you're one of those who can get away with it. I don't feel like I have that conviction in my swing trading or in my ability to just sit down and stare at 5-minute and or 1-minute charts all day. That could not be me. I don't have that kind of focus to lend to that activity. So I've just stayed away from any possibility of getting myself wrecked doing that with ethw. But some people have felt good about it. Maybe that's played out for them. Hey, if you were shorting this, good for you. You possibly won big. But the proof of work fork ethpow saw its token rally after the merge. Let's see, went from $35 to over $70 just after the merge took place before crashing back to $27. So if you hodled through this, you're wrecked, right? You're down. Already the fact that it's down at $35 or was down at $35 just pre-merge is kind of bad news, bad juju, so to speak. Not looking good there. Crypto Crag is in the chat saying, yo, 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 we got proof of live stream. Crypto Crag, you do not need to send any kind of a super chat or any kind of paid interaction for me to read your comments, but do not be a knucklehead. Otherwise, I will just edit them very heavily and I'll make it sound like you said something else. So be polite, right? Be cool, and I will read your comments exactly as written. All right, guys, is anybody here really surprised by that? Is anybody surprised at all that ethw didn't do well? I mean, we all kind of saw that coming, right? Like, oh, wow, Chainlink isn't going to support you. USDC isn't going to support you. Tether isn't going to support you. This chain is probably going to do all right. I mean, come on, right? Like, we all knew that. We all knew this was basically going to completely nosedive, didn't we? Please tell me you knew that, because I feel like I did, and I feel like it was obvious, and I feel like here on Mine Your Biz, we were very clear about how obviously doomed to fail that this fork was on Ethereum. I'm so glad. Thank you again, Crypto Wendio. Shout out for having me on the O Show, on the Crypto Wendio channel, to break this down for your viewers, because they didn't know yet that this proof of work fork for Ethereum was not a good bet, that it might work out for high frequency traders, but that serious miners aren't taking it seriously. So huge shout out to Crypto Wendio for leaning on an expert and leaning on a friend. That moments like that, they tug at my heartstrings, right? They pull on my heartstrings, and I'm like getting ready for Miami well in advance. Pardon the very unprofessional look, very open shirt there. My gosh, I'm showing a lot of cleavage. Might get shut down by the YouTube censors. The algorithm is gonna get your boy. All right. Ethereum traders have shorted the ETH price in record numbers during the merge, a 50% crash ahead. Yikes! People don't think this far ahead. And this is why, for me, it's not that the merge has been a non-issue or a nothing burger, so to speak, but I haven't been thinking, all right, well, the merge is happening, so obviously $10,000 Bitcoin. The merge is happening, so obviously we're on a rocket ship to $20,000 per token, right, per Ether. I've had a much more tempered view of what we're going to see by way of price and what we're going to see by way of block rewards. So I can't wait for us to dive a little deeper into that. I think that right now we're not going to do that deep dive. I don't have the tools laid out for us to do that deep dive on the current block rewards for the validator ecosystem of Ethereum. But I think getting a little more data and then doing this again as a separate video will serve that purpose better anyway. I'll be able to collect my thoughts and the tools and edit that up a little more neatly for whenever we release that video. But I still suspect very strongly that the Ethereum validators are going to be playing games with the ecosystem. They're going to be using MEV and exploit that. They're going to be working. What? We got a Serpent Blitz. Yeah, boy. Pearl Rival comes in and says, Mind Your Biz, Serpent Blitz. Shout out to the homie. Serpent X Tech, and another one of the real ones, guys. So much great media coming out from so many great creators. Obviously, you know you should support them. Thank you for coming here to support Mind Your Biz as well. That means so much. So we're talking about all things post-merge, right? I feel like this is where we have to maybe pick up some of the pieces, see what's happening after the dust settles, and then figure out how do we move forward, right? As proof of work miners, and if we're considering proof of stake, how do we make that happen? I mentioned on the miner roundtable, none of the other miners seem to be aware of it, DApp node. And it's something that I saw that Hudson Jameson, the former, he called himself the chief cat herder of the Ethereum core developer group, mentioned on hosting your own Ethereum node. We're probably going to do not some deep dives on the how-tos. That's all been done. We're probably going to talk about a little bit of the game theory behind why you might want to do that, some of the security behind setting it up for yourself, and then possibly some hardware profiles that you can use to create your own Ethereum full node on the cheap. That's the biggest thing. Doing it on the cheap and then making it as generally useful to you as possible. I don't think that you need very specific hardware, and I don't think that you should lay out a lot of cash for it. But I'm a notorious cheapskate in this space. I don't think you should overbuy on any computer hardware ever, even when you're buying something brand new. I don't think you should buy it, first couple of days it's out. Forever Metalhead says Serpent X Tech raid. He throws up the horns, guys. Nice. Appreciate that. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate you guys also, of course, being supportive of the entire family and ecosystem. Serpent X Tech is a real, he's an absolute real one of the homies, and love supporting his channel. So if you, anybody from the Mind Your Biz community is not already subbed to Serpent X Tech, what are you even doing with your life? The guy has been putting out gems. You've heard me say it on other live streams. He's heard me say it. His end of month profitability roundups are gold, because now we have a track record of end of month GPU mining profitability roundups. Nobody else has done it like Serpent's done it. So I turn to Serpent for certain amounts of market intel, because he's figured out what we value. All right, guys, Ethereum traders have shorted the ETH price in record numbers. Is a 50% crash ahead? This is clickbait. Let's be very, very clear. Cointelegraph, not always above board. Great clickbait, though. All right, they've got some great titles. And shout out to Kaltoro of the Cointelegraph social team. Appreciate you having me on the Cointelegraph main channel on Twitter Spaces and offering to have me back. That was really very very flattering for me to be included there. But let's be real. The half of the job of making media online, any type, written media, video media, is the clickbait, right? Let's the titles, the thumbnails and stuff. It gets you drawn in. Sometimes I'm not so good at that over here at Mind Your Biz. But you know who's great? Cointelegraph. 50% crash for Ethereum. I don't know. Maybe. We might see a 50% crash. I know that many of us have been looking forward to trying to scoop up Ethereum at around $700, and that's about what this would signal. But isn't that kind of having the cart before the horse, saying like, oh yeah, well, we expected this price, so let's do whatever we have to see that price. It's just going to take time, right? Like, it's just going to take a little while for that to definitely happen. But right now, a 50% dip, that might be hyperbolic, but we could see it just falling, right? So the Ether's futures funding rates across leading derivatives platforms dropped below zero, their worst levels to date. Just before the merge, the rate dropped to as low as negative 0.6 on BitMEX. Serpent X Tech is saying we're crashing now 7%. Guys, this was priced in. Anybody who said that the merge was not priced in and thought that it was going to go to the moon, like, I don't know what to tell you. Anybody who thought that the fees were going to go down, everybody in the community was telling you. Serpent was telling you. Son of a Tech was telling you. BBT was telling you. All of us on the miner powwow, we were telling you the fees aren't going down. On the user experience side, Ethereum is going to be business as usual. You're going to notice that your fees go to exactly the same. We're going to take a look at that at txstreet.com in just a minute. Your fees are going to be the same. MEV injection is going to be very much the same. It's just going to be done at a much more tricky level we discovered on the miner powwow based on the kill switch. We'll talk about that another time. A little bit nerdy, but the validators can still execute MEV. They can still use flash bots. All that stuff still exists. The ecosystem hasn't changed. We just changed the mining or changed the security rewards from miners who historically have been honest and decentralized now to validators and stakers, which we know are tightly centralized, and that upwards of 70% of the coin supply is in the hands of a relatively few individuals, right? Including the core developers and the ICO bag holders from 2014. Like, this is not an unknown thing. We know exactly where all the coin supply went. We know who controls it now. We know who's getting those rewards. And MEV and Flashbots still exist. Same old crap. The only difference is now they can't call it miner extractable value. So good luck with that, guys. Good luck explaining it away when the miners like us blow the whistle on you idiots. I'll tell you how I really feel in a minute, guys. Got Stereo 2 in the chat from the Sin City Crypto team saying, we survived the merge. Now we must survive what's coming next. Appreciate that. Thank you again to the Sin City Crypto team. Phenomenal studio out in Las Vegas. Thanks for having me on your channel when I was in Las Vegas for that trade show. But the funding rate has plummeted. This is not what I think most people expected. Everybody else was getting high on the vapors of the hype train. Cursed Mining's in the chat saying, good evening, friends. Oh my gosh. I always forget it's evening somewhere well past 5 o'clock. Capital rotation into Bitcoin. Yep, this is what happens when there's uncertainty. People run to security. They run, and I don't mean a security, a commodity, right? They run to something that has stability, right? That's what they run to, is stability. So in the same way that preppers go and get physical gold to put into their physical vaults, and of course silver coinage and other things, well, in crypto, we run to Bitcoin. We measure things in Satoshi value. At least in this house, we measure things in Satoshi value in terms of opportunity costs. So cannot ignore that. There's a lot of capital flight, right? And like they said, capital rotation into Bitcoin. I'm not shocked. Were you? Ethereum Classic hash rates have surged to over 200 terahash per second post-merge. So it's 250% surge in the last 24 hours. Lots of machines that just, I think, possibly right at the exact block height that they could no longer mine Ethereum, flipped over into ETC hash and said, you know what? F it. We're large-scale mines. We've got to go this route. And, I mean, who predicted this? Basically all of us from the GPU mining community. We got Serpent and we got Alex, of course, from Blockchain Solutions out in Miami. You had, of course, me being very loud about it. Only Ethereum Classic has the big enough market cap to accommodate the mid-scale to large-scale miners. The at-home miners, like us, a few rigs, maybe a gigahash or two total in mining hash power. We don't need to sell into that amount of market strength. We don't need a multi-billion-dollar market cap to be able to cover our expenses if we need to sell off. We can do that with much smaller market cap coins. But no, that's not the case with the majority of the Ethereum network, so they had to go to ETH Classic. Not the biggest headline in my opinion, but it's just validation of what we kind of already suspected. 2miners.com shows their increase. You can see right there, massive parabolic curve going all the way up. That's their little layout of it. That's just insane. The run up in hash rate right there. And then Ethereum Classic tweeted out, proof of work miners can go to ETC. Stakers can go with eth2, which is fair to each their own choice. Thanks and congrats, Vitalik. May both chains coexist in their own right, providing options for stakers and miners. That's a very fair-minded, very good sportsman-like way of showing that adaptation to change, right? Like, this is what winners do. Winners behave this way when they see other people having their moment, right? When they see other people winning their game. And ETH Classic is not trying to win the game of proof of stake. So congratulating somebody else on finally doing it, I think that shows some real character. Charlie Grace in the chat says, hello friends, happy Thursday. Hello Charlie, thank you for being here with us. I appreciate your well, basically classing up the joint. Let's be very, very real. Some of these other guys are, I don't know about you guys. You're all right, but Charlie's probably a little more, it's in the name. Charlie's probably at least a little more graceful than you are. Okay, so Magic Lucky's in the chat also saying, is anyone else still waiting for their final 2miners payout? My ETH to BTC payout is about 4 hours delayed so far. That's some news right there that none of the major outlets are talking about. So appreciate you bringing that up. Magic Lucky is claiming that payouts are delayed. I would not be shocked to see that payouts will be delayed on those final blocks of Ethereum's proof of work. We may see some difficulty in sifting through that. We may see that several of the mining pools that we thought were very reliable were operating according to Ponzi-nomics. That is to say that they were not doing direct payouts of the block and that they were possibly not showing in the most transparent way how they're getting Coinbase transactions distributed out to miners. So I hope that's not the case for you. I hope that it isn't, Peter Peter robbing Paul in order to pay you out. I hope it's not like a Ponzi-nomic motion of two miners. I don't think it is, and I don't dare say that they're running a Ponzi. Not explicit. I'm not accusing them of anything, but that would be really sad to find out that there is too much Ponzi-nomic motion right in the mining ecosystem to get away from. Now that the game of musical chairs has stopped, we're gonna see who doesn't have a chair. Right, tide's going out. We're gonna see who's not wearing swim trunks, whatever. Use the analogy you like. We may see more problems like this. I hope you get your payout sooner than later, but that you may bring up a really good point. We're going to see some problems as we move forward. All right, other networks are welcoming miners. We got Ergo. We'll talk about those in just a minute, but great to see that Ethereum Classic is doing exactly what we expected it to do, absorbing a lot of hash rate. Coinbase over on the block. Let me try not to assault your eyes quite so much. But Coinbase-backed suit against Treasury set to become landmark blockchain case. This is the news that you come here to Mind Your Biz to listen to, and this is something that is near and dear to my heart. We're talking about security, and we're talking about privacy, both. ZK proofs, right, or zero-knowledge proofs, ZK snarks, privacy, we'll say. On-chain, cryptographically provable privacy. It matters. We need it in more of the blockchain ecosystem. So when Tornado Cash was put on that SDN list by the Office of Foreign Asset Control, by the U.S. Treasury, it was a problem, a big problem. It was precedent setting. They'd never put any kind of code or scripts onto that list before, but they chose to in the case of Tornado Cash. Why? Why would they do that? Well, because of the actions of some bad people. But we haven't outlawed cash because of the cartels south of the U.S. border, and we haven't outlawed cash. We haven't outlawed traveler's checks because of the fraudulent activities of organized criminals across the pond, right, in Western Europe. We haven't done away with these bearer assets with our current monetary system just because there are criminals that exist in the world. They're never going to go away, right? Crime will never go away, and bad people will never go away. So why are we doing it this way with crypto assets? So I think in part there's a longer narrative they're trying to have played out here and trying to get the public to believe in. But in my mind, this is some of the most important news, and I've been saying it as such for over 2 years while I interviewed all of the major privacy-oriented coins back at that time, and I'm lining up additional interviews with them now that we live in a world where the U.S. Treasury has come out actively against privacy-preserving technologies in crypto. So expect to see more there, and also expect to see those previous interviews come back. But Coinbase is leading a suit against the U.S. Treasury on this matter. I didn't think that Coinbase would do that they would show enough spine to say, we're going to stand against this, and we're going to take you guys to court. Did anybody else have this on their bingo card, like their crypto bingo card? I didn't think Coinbase would make this kind of a move. And I think maybe it's all theater, maybe it's all for show. Maybe they're just trying to get more of our sympathy and more of our public support so that we don't totally abandon them, because they often will suspend the user withdrawals, and they'll be kind of a bad experience in general, bad customer service and stuff. But still, Coinbase? They're kind of advocating for us when it comes to privacy. I didn't think I would see this. So they've got this case against the U.S. Treasury based on what happened to Tornado Cash. And here's kind of the high-level points. They're backing a lawsuit over the Tornado Cash sanctions. And apparently, they think it has broader implications across digital assets. I'll say that's an understatement. And at the heart of the legal argument is whether sanctions can apply to code run on a decentralized network. Gary Gensler, just recently from I think the Senate floor, was failing to answer questions about centralized assets versus decentralized assets and how he viewed that affecting their status as a security or a commodity. Some of these definitions matter. I know for us, it's like, okay, well, why are we talking about this? Mind your biz. Like, can't we just talk about mining? Can't we just talk about hash rates? Well, clearly with Ethereum, no. We can't. And the world is changing very rapidly. But the regulatory environment is going to affect us. What's the old saying? Doesn't matter whether or not you're interested in politics. Politics is interested in you, right? In governing you. We have to pay attention to what's happening with these regulatory bodies and with these politicians so we can police them. We, the people, can police them. And in this case, I'm surprised to see Coinbase taking the stance of being for the people, right? This is a public good, having privacy in crypto. So yeah, we'll see. But I think as a headline, this is noteworthy, and we need to figure out if this is, if this question can be answered. Can the U.S. government sanction computer code? In the same way of asking, like, can the U.S. government sanction free speech? Well, they kind of do in some instances, right? You can't run into a theater and say certain things. You can't go to the airport and say certain things. So you could say that your freedom of speech has been kind of stepped on, but the reality is those are public health and public safety considerations, which is why you're barred from saying certain things, certain words and phrases in public places like an airport, like a bus station, like a crowded mall, or like a theater, right? Like a cinema theater. So there are some limitations, very, very, very rare limitations to freedom of speech. How is that going to affect us with code, right? Because it's also been ruled multiple times that code is speech. Code is not law, but code is speech. So are they going to make that argument? Are they going to say, fall back on that? Because the Office of Foreign Asset Control is not usually in the habit of ruling or making decisions on freedom of speech. Got a chat coming in from Magic Lucky saying, appreciate that, Mind Your Biz. Two miners did tweet to expect delays. Blog post says they use Kraken plus Binance to process BTC/Nano payouts and suggested the delays were due to processing at exchanges. I can see that for sure. At one of the consulting gigs that I do, or one of the consulting jobs that I have, which, by the way, what I will openly talk about is I am a crypto generalist consultant for hire. I'm not a specialist, so I'm not going to talk to you about DevOps or whatever else, but I can help solve some pretty complicated problems, and have done so on multiple occasions for more than one client. But I currently have two main consulting gigs that I do in the crypto space, crypto ecosystem. But we interact with Kraken on a regular basis, and they do have an OTC desk that is just for their corporate clients. That would be probably the motion that Two Miners is using, is that they are using the OTC desk, and that is not an automated process. There is not an API for the OTC desk if they're doing bulk trades, unfortunately. There are APIs for other aspects of using Kraken at the institutional level, but OTC trades, nope. You have to work with a person. You have a person at that exchange that is your designated person that helps with your trade, your one-off specific trade. Are they arbitraging some of that? Maybe they are, and maybe that's where they're not willing to lose out on their margin that they normally get. But I don't know. It could take a little longer. Pearl Rival says expect up to 72 hours. That makes sense also, about 72 hours. Even with the OTC desk, usually their OTC trades can be done in under that amount of time. But then for them to coordinate whatever they have to on their own payout orchestration layer on Two Miners, this is complicated stuff. It's never been more complicated, right? Large scale mining payout schemes. So, man, my heart goes out to you guys, of course, anybody who's still waiting for a payout there, and of course to the exchanges themselves. These are non-trivial problems. Back in the day, right, I had a couple of brothers that ran a multi-coin mining pool before there was YIMP or whatever else you could just fork on GitHub. They ran a multi-coin mining pool back in 2013, and man, it actually was a bit simpler then in some ways. It was a bit simpler because you didn't have to worry about people want to get paid out in this token or that token. It's like, nah, man, you mine that coin, that's what you're going to get. Like, that's all you want, that's what you're going to get. And we can set up an algorithm to appropriately pay out from Coinbase transactions, right? Like, to properly split that amongst the different miners that were actually hashing, right? So it's pretty cut and dried. But nowadays, oh my gosh, you can accept payouts in other coins. Unminable allows you to take payouts from completely what was seemingly random coins, stuff that isn't proof of work. So I can't believe it. Let's see. Latrell says, yeah, I'm waiting on Two Miners. I have some had to some go until late afternoon in the past. Zono Loliti asks a question about that is not related to the main content of the show, but you ask about what my favorite TV shows are. I don't watch a whole lot of TV because when I do, I binge, and then it's one of those things like you binge and purge, right? You could say that I have sort of like media bulimia. I got a problem. Sorry if I triggered anyone. You could say I have kind of like media bulimia, right? Where like whatever I'll binge watch a TV show and I'm like, oh my gosh, I freaking hate hate that. And then I'll like, whatever, I'll do 2-a-day workouts for like 3 weeks. It hasn't hurt my physique, right, to react against it. But in the meantime, I'm like, I don't know balance, so I don't like being in front of the TV if I can avoid it. So ask a different question. That's not a good one for me. All right, so that's the case against, the U.S. Treasury. I'm so glad this is happening. I really hope to see this actually come to some kind of resolution. That would be great. Someone's saying, okay, bye-bye. Yeah, sorry about that. I apologize that I'm not ready to go there. Dueling precedents. Though the legal precedent in the U.S. maintains source code as free speech under the First Amendment, again, as a result of other national security-related case, judges often defer to the U.S. government on deterrence decisions like sanctions. Lawyers with backgrounds in national security expect the attempt to fail. OFAC will argue that Tornado Cash, decentralized or not, was the go-to money laundering mechanism for Lazarus Group, which resulted in North Korea having funds for weapons proliferation. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, we can argue till we're blue in the face that the Sinaloa cartel is using the U.S. dollar, and we can prove that they are, that they're using our cash notes to do that. You haven't shut down cash. You haven't shut down U.S. dollar notes or $5 bills. You haven't gotten rid of every $20 bill in circulation. And that's the most forged currency in the world. I'm not asking them to shut it down. I'm saying the opposite. We can't just shut down payment rails because a few bad people are using them. This is a red herring. Do not fall for this. So, yeah, though digital currencies like Bitcoin and Ether have been involved in other sanctions and criminal cases, the U.S. government hasn't come down on them like it did with Tornado Cash. The sanctions were likely the result of Tornado Cash being used by North Korean hackers. Estimating that 41% of all funds deposited through its mixing pools in June and July were stolen assets. Here's the thing. You're cherry picking 2 months to say 41% of all assets were stolen in those 2 months. What about the rest of the entire time that Tornado Cash was ever on? Well, was ever running? Because now you're cherry picking those 2 months to say, well, yeah, 41% of all funds going through it at that time were stolen. Cool story, bro. You realize that like 100% of all new dollar bills in circulation during a 3-week period could have been forged. They might not have been actually processed by the U.S. Treasury, or rather minted by the appropriate channels. They could have come from the money. What's the word I'm looking for? For not forge artists, but they're forgeries. You know what I mean? They could have been they could have been printed, right, by third parties that had nothing to do with the real money supply. This happens. I've personally come into contact with somebody who used to be involved in that business, and they are reformed. And just saying, we can cherry pick the data on cash notes too. We can cherry pick the data on handwritten checks. We can cherry pick the data on traveler's checks, and we can come up with the same kinds of basic numbers, right? And say, well, you realize that during this period, 100% of every $100 bill was a fake. Okay, not going to stop using $100 bills, bro, or $20 bills. Like, really, stop with that, the scare tactic rhetoric. Not helpful at all. If anything, it just reinforces the case that you guys are incompetent, not us. So anyway, I hope that it isn't doomed to fail. They say, I think the plaintiffs that they have gotten are excellent, exactly who I would want, and the arguments that they have made are excellent as well, says Jerry Brito, executive director of the DC-based nonprofit Coin Center, right? Coin Center is one of the few lobbyist groups that I'm starting to feel better about in our space, right? In the crypto space, actually doing some real good there. And I hope that they continue to fight on behalf of users like us. So the Treasury seemed to undercut standing for a lawsuit when on September 13th, OFAC issued guidance for how Tornado Cash users who still have funds frozen in pools but did not engage in illicit activities can apply for exemptions. Now you got to beg for your own money, beg for your own crypto that was frozen in pools based on this. Say OFAC would have a favorable licensing policy towards such applications, provided that the transaction did not involve other sanctionable conduct. That's like you going to the bank, asking for cash from your account, and having them say like, yeah, but we actually have to know exactly who you're going to interact with, and you have to prove to us that you're not a criminal right now. Like you going to take out your savings so you can switch banks even. But instead of doing wire transfer, taking it out in cash, it's like them saying the same thing. Okay, can you prove to us you're not a criminal? Try proving try proving a negative. It's very difficult. So now the whole thing, just the logic falls apart here with their whole thing. Britta rejected that Treasury's notice would affect the case much. That shouldn't change the case because there's still an injury here. They're right. It doesn't change the fact that they sanctioned something that cannot be sanctioned under law. So I hope that this does go through. Don't want to go all the way through that. But on case, law, and precedent, Ripple versus SEC, new lawsuit filings will impact crypto space for years to come, say legal experts. They're not the only one. We're saying it too. A legal expert who's closely following the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission's crypto case against Ripple says it will affect the space for years to come. This guy's name is Jeremy Hogan, but he's a bit of an XRP fan. A Rippler, an XRPian. What do you call people who are XRP fans? Whatever. An XRP guy, an XRP dude, a grunt, a XRP cannon fodder. The Ripple summary judgment briefs will be filed today, and a decision in the library case is expected this week. These two things will affect the entire space for years to come, and he is so right. Oh my gosh. And really, if you're a person who prays, pray for a positive outcome. We do not want the SEC to win in these cases. We do not want that at all. Magic Lucky offers some suggestions for what to call these people who are fans of oh my gosh, I'm starting to spit. I'm getting so fired up. What we call these people who are fans of XRP. I'm going to call them the XRP second stringers. What do we call it? XRPian. XRP, kind of like European, right? XRPian. Hey, crypto person, got to go to the bathroom because XRPian. Oh, yeah. Nice. I made a joke. I got jokes. Forecast, talking about Ethereum's last proof of work and first proof of stake NFTs are minted for 67.5 ETH. There is scarcity just in the fact that it ever touched proof of work. Right, to be minted into a block. That's crazy. And then proof of stake, So the vanity blocks were called the last proof of work block, being auctioned at OpenSea. The final block on Ethereum proof of work containing the NFT was successfully mined by F2 pool. My gosh, I will say that in years to come, we're not going to care so much about this. And Magic Lucky, I'm just being silly. I know that they call themselves the XRP Army, and I know that I can get more love on YouTube's algorithm by using the hashtag XRP Army. I just don't care. I really care that little about it. I'm really that much of a troll. It's that much fun to troll people, and I don't even have anything like seriously against XRP. I don't hold any ill will towards anybody who's an XRP fan. I just don't believe in the banker's coin being the solution to our problems with currency, or the solution to our problems with being able to transact freely. And clearly, with all the case law and stuff, it hasn't been a serious problem until the SEC rules against them. So until that happens, I will be not a fan of XRP. I'll be an advocate for XRP to be left alone by the SEC. I want XRP to win this case. I do. And I'm not even a fan, but I want them to win this case. I'm just not just don't call me XRP Army, right? Like, just saying. I don't identify that way. Use my preferred pronouns, which are F and U. All right. Next news, we got Thai SEC. They want to ban crypto lending. We talked about that. Interest in Raven coin explodes as Ethereum miners flock to mine Raven instead of ETH. We'll see about that. We'll validate that in a minute. CZ seals the Binance love affair with France, says Paris is financial hub for crypto in Europe. I'm not too shocked by that, guys. France and Paris in particular. I'm going to wax a little poetic here. Where did we get the Statue of Liberty from? Do you know? Any history buffs here in the United States? Yeah. We got it from our cousins in France. It's pretty amazing stuff. We do have a long and rich history of great relationships with the French here in the United States, and they are some of the most freedom-loving people in Western Europe. I will stand by that to the bitter end, right? If you tell the French you're going to start forcing them to pasteurize their cheese or their dairy, they will riot in the streets. They will burn cars. They'll throw Molotov cocktails. They'll get crazy. They will kick up a storm because they want to do things the way they want to do them, right? So there's a reason that they are so cultured, right, in terms of cheese and wine, etc., because they're allowed to experiment with those things. So the French are fairly freedom loving. I'm not too shocked to see that sort of the spirit of crypto has really caught on in France, and in particular, I guess, Paris. So not too shocked by that. That's pretty awesome. CZ was speaking during an open session of the Binance Blockchain Week in Paris, which kicked it off, and he stated the strong push for crypto adoption and other initiatives the French government is taking, that the crypto market is set to explode in that country over the next 5 years. So yeah, I'm super excited to see that. France also is pretty level-headed about nuclear power. You wouldn't expect it. Germany, which has, in my opinion, some of the most reasonable and intelligent people in the world, just as a broadly speaking, as a culture, why are they not entirely on nuclear power and having it be the cheapest power in all of Western Europe, right? Why is there any reliance on foreign oil to run any of the grid in Germany? That's a mystery to me. France is outdoing you by having nukes, right? And decreasing the general cost for power. Like, you don't even have to socialize anything but maybe a little bit of the infrastructure. And I'm kind of okay with that if it's for clean nukes to give power, right? That comes from magic glowing rocks, right? Free power from magic glowing rocks. Who would have thought of it? Einstein did. Genius. But there you go. The French have got a couple things figured out. Not everything, but they got a couple things figured out. So I'm not too shocked to get that news from them. Gandalf Gray asks, Mind Your Biz, how does ETH maintain supply with all of this burning now? That's a brilliant question. See if we can pull up some tools for that. And let's also get rid of all of our news articles. We'll take a look at some of our typical content. Let me jump back a little bit, see if I can pull up the correct tool for that as we go, though, because Gandalf Gray, I appreciate that question. And yeah, we need to be asking, like, how do we maintain a consistent supply as opposed to having it become hyper deflationary if something goes wrong there, right? So let's see. I did have some pretty great. Oh, you know what? It is Hypersound Money. No, it's Ultrasound Money. Good grief, that was their thing. Ultrasound. Nope. Money. There it is. Go back to that screen. Money. Merged. Oh, yay, little panda faces. We're so proud of ourselves. We're so great. Supply growth. Here we go. Supply growth and issuance appears, according to right now, burn greater than issuance. Supply growth 4% per year at about 5.5 million ETH per year. Now, as it is right now, based on the current inflation rates and CPI, right, of the dollar, US dollar, this is going to make it a little more sound than the US dollar for a time, right? For a time. It's going to be more sound. Now, apparently, the amount of ETH that's burned, if this is still correct, is going to be about 500,000 ETH burned per year. I don't think this is going to be the absolute, like, the end-all be-all source of truth for us right here, ultrasound.money. This is just one tool that has been used moving all the way up to the merge, so hopefully this becomes a source that we can trust, but it's just ultrasound.money. This is the site that we've used here on Mind Your Biz for months now, leading up to this point. But yeah, total value secured, that's definitely important as far as total value secured. Having the ERC20 leaderboard, making sure that things don't totally bridge out to other platforms, rapidly and unexpectedly, that'd be good. Magic Lucky says we're down another negative 100 ETH compared with about 2 hours ago from that website. Yeah, I mean, hopefully that is definitely the case. I think that we may see that it might not be an exact one-to-one, the amount of ETH that is brought back up through MEV injection and through flashbots, but I think we are going to see it not be the so-called triple halvening that was promised. I think we will see that the amount of block reward that is issued is higher than everyone's been saying. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. We're going to have to check it out post-mortem over the next several days and weeks because there are several parties that are trying to figure out how to successfully inject MEV and flashbots into the current paradigm, right, of validators instead of it being proof-of-work miners. And again, where there's an incentive, there's a will. Where there's a will, there's a way, right? So, yeah, I'm going to be all quippy on you. Uncle Seth, talking like a dad there because reasons. But yeah, I think that's going to be part of it. All right. Current fear and greed index 28. Yep, we're dropping back down towards fear. We keep on kind of moving up and down in this fear range. This is just the tail wagging the dog. Some people say that the fear and greed index is bunk. It's bogus. I disagree. I think that it does help give us a very clear indication of what the market is feeling right now, but it's usually a trailing indicator, not exactly a leading indicator on this site. And here's what I mean. We see price action elsewhere, like crypto bubbles, right? GLM, right? Golem token doing all right. Raven, that's interesting. Didn't expect to see that, right? Golem has come up quite a bit, 59% over the last week. I think people are starting to catch on to the idea, not of proof of useful work, but to the idea of flipping some of those GPUs and some of those rigs into just doing general purpose compute. We've talked about this. I brought that up on last week's Around the Blockchain, in which I won by talking about exactly this problem, right? Proof of useful work is a misnomer. And I've been kind of I wouldn't say against it, but I'll say that proof of useful work as a narrative is not good enough. When you have any project saying, oh, well, we're moving towards proof of useful work. Well, cool story. Talk to me how it's provably useful and how it's provably work as measured by a blockchain, right? Hashes have been used historically, but I'm going on a big tangent there, guys. The point remains that Golem is a network that was designed to let you use your computers and rent out the compute power to other people. It's not proof of work per se. It's proof of available compute power and compute resources. So we'll see how it does. It's clearly coming back. I thought it was down for the count last time that it dropped off the leaderboards, but there it is. Compound is up. Cosmos is up. Celsius, ironically, is up. Ape is up as well. Raven, though, one of the biggest outliers. So we can absolutely, you can see it from outer space. Raven is doing really well right now. Its price action increasing, and so is its hash rate. So you love to see that the hash rate and the price action move in tandem. That's great for miners, but is it sustainable is the big question. We're going to look at some of the other tools that we normally do on Mind Your Biz. Guys, thanks for being tuned in with me live. I know I throw a lot at you when I do go live, but it's because I value your intelligence that much. I want you to think about this stuff, and I want to be a person who's talking about all of it when we go live, not just cherry picking one or two articles and giving you a 5-minute segment that is just like what everybody else does, right? You can go chase 15 or 20 or 30 other videos that'll get you all those different data points. Why don't we talk about holistically the stuff that we care about in one live stream? So I appreciate you being supportive of that. And I know it's different. I know it's a bit of a risk too. It's not normally what YouTube rewards, but some people have said that they really value it, and I like doing it. Gosh darn it. It's a lot of fun. So thanks for your support. All right, guys, that's Crypto Bubbles, a bird's eye overview. Current chart over on tradingview.com. Take a look at what the chopsticks have to say. We are starting to dip back towards that defined channel. Will we dip back all the way into it? Man, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. Just got a couple of friggin' chopsticks over on free tools on TradingView, but I just publish it whenever I can, right? So there it is. Looks like we might be dipping back in. This is the one-day chart over on TradingView. I published this. It's totally public. You can see it down in the description of this video. And Pearl Rival says, Mind Your Biz, what can we do with GPUs for profitability aside from mining? Seems like Golem is onto something. Yep. You may be right. So I interviewed one of the founders of SonM. Was it 2 years ago? A little over 3 years ago? 4 years ago? I don't know, man. I interviewed a lot of these different projects back towards the end of 2018 because we were asking the same thing at that time as the profitability for Ethereum was basically falling off a cliff. There were several projects that said they were going to work on distributed compute and monetizing distributed compute. A few of them just dropped off. SonM and Golem are two projects that did not drop off. Render Token, which is sort of a loosely related to Octane Render, very, very popular 3D rendering solution. They also have a token that rewards you for using your GPUs to render other people's scene files. Are they profitable right now? I don't know. I'm not sure if they're very profitable right now, but I know these are options that we can take a look at. So we may need to add those to a different side of the portfolio to see how the tokens are doing and check to see whether or not they're profitable against mining. So you're asking the right question, Pearl Rival. We've been asking those questions for a couple of years since, well, we asked it before Ethereum became profitable again. But the chopsticks, I think, guys, are going to give us not perfect amount of truth, but they are going to help indicate whether or not we, I think they're a pretty good trend, put it that way. Pretty good trend line. Not perfect, but pretty good trend line. And hopefully we continue to see dipping towards that value buy range, right? The blue line would be amazing to see. I don't know. We're definitely going to see it. Seeing in the like counter, so many likes, guys. Thank you for smashing that like. Thank you for smashing it twice and sharing this live stream while we're live. Let's take a look at the cost to mine one full Bitcoin. Not going to move the chopsticks, guys. I think I'm pretty comfortable with that. Over the cost to mine one full Bitcoin, let's put in the custom hardware profile of an S19J Pro. Why? Because it's relevant. Make sure we're paying a pool fee because it's relevant. Make sure we're paying the amount of power that is typical because it's relevant. Can you find 7-cent power? Maybe you can. I hope that you can. And I really desperately, that's my deepest wish for you, is that you can find 7-cent power. And you're going to find that by going across the train tracks, making friends, and co-locating. That's the bottom line. In any market where you live, that's how you're going to do that. But 3,500 watts, we're looking at about 14.5K Bitcoin. That puts that value buy range that I've been identifying for us, well, pretty solidly right about here, right? Top of that blue line, bottom of that green line. Those are my predictions for what we will see as bottom support for Bitcoin. Anything below that is an amazing value, but I think that's the bare cost to mine one full Bitcoin right now. If you have reasonably priced power, you'll be happy mining your Bitcoin at about that level. Anything below it is gravy. You're going to love mining Bitcoin at that level. You'll be happy with anything in this range over the next couple of years. Just to say, that's what it costs today. HiveOS statistics. Let's get rid of too many cookies right there. But let's take a look at the algorithms. A lot is still on ETH hash. A lot more is on ETC hash. We don't have a trend line here to show how that's changed. But today, we are seeing people are still mining Ethereum. 35% of the users of HiveOS are still mining Ethereum. What's going on? What's going on? Oh, by the way, be sure to smash that subscribe button. There's my little animation talking about it. Do be sure to get that done. But over here, guys, 35%. What's going on there? What's happening? What is happening? Nice hash on ETH hash, much lower amount. Some other algorithms are coming up. Autolycos is really rising in the ranks. ethpow also pretty high. They're neck and neck in terms of the total hash rate coming out of it, or algorithm and GPU usage coming out of it. Of course, the ASIC models, the GPU models, they haven't changed overnight. Nothing has changed there. But those algorithms definitely have, or they should have, right? If people were thinking about it. How are so many people still stuck on Ethereum? Why is that still happening? ETH hash, I understand. You can mine other coins with ETH hash, but 35% definitely pointed at ETH? What's going on? Let's take a look at some other, there you go, nice hash, ETH hash. That would explain the 2 to 3%. There's still maybe one full percentage point there. Maybe we're seeing some fractional amounts there that aren't accounted for. But really, only 2% going to nice hash, 35% still directly on Ethereum mining pools. What are you guys doing? Wake up. The merge happened. You're 12 hours, almost 12 hours out of profit. What's going on with you guys? Seriously, got to get your marbles back. So a little bit surprised to see that, but I knew we needed to check in. Maybe this is not real-time data. That's also one possibility. This could be a sort of lagging information here. Chris Stewart says, I would say that's the portion of the mining community that doesn't follow YouTube or pay attention to anything. You're right. Of course you're right. Right? That's the thing. These are likely institutional miners who are the set it and forget it type, who have shipping containers out in the middle of a desert somewhere, possibly literal desert somewhere, that's attached directly to a natural gas flaring operation. And for them, they're not thinking about this. In terms of physical facilities, they're not thinking about it. But in the meantime, also, if you're using HiveOS, it's as simple as, launch new flight sheet. Right? Isn't it? That's why I'm surprised, right? Like, you can also set schedules within HiveOS. Guys, I've covered all this in the official HiveOS training that the HiveOS team co-wrote with me back in 2018 before anybody else in the United States was really using it, broadly speaking. So all that happened in the 2.0 update. You can see that by going to the Mine Your Biz Classic channel, and that playlist is right there, guys. So I'm just confused. If you're a pro user of this, why are you still on Ethereum? I don't get it. But miningpoolstats.stream, this will be more of a source of real-time data truth for us. Let's check to see what the situation is there. Yep, there's that hash rate falling off a cliff, as it should be for Ethereum, but not gone. What gives? 42%, 46% down, but not 100% down? Chris Stewart says, first time I'm catching the show. Great job. I'm loving it. I'm going to try to catch it every day. I really appreciate that. Here's a thumbs up. Chris, appreciate that. Please do snip that out and be like, hey, look what, bring it to work. Be like, look what just happened. Some idiot on YouTube said, give me a shout out. The world we live in, man. Crazy world, but I love it, right? Could you imagine as a kid that this would be your life? It's like a dream. It's weird. This world is weird and crazy. Appreciate you being tuned in, though. Definitely appreciate that. Guys, let me also just say that we do not stream live every day, but it is Tuesdays and Thursdays. I am considering adding more days of the week and then decreasing the time that I stream, right? So that's kind of what I'm thinking about now for the show. Also, I realize that Son of a Tech is going live at about gosh, what time do we normally start? Here at about 10 a.m. Central Time, Son of a Tech goes live. So a lot of the rest of the crypto mining ecosystem kind of tries to stagger their live streams so that there isn't overlap. I may consider going a little bit earlier, so that won't hurt anybody across the pond, right? It's like, hey, you're still awake. And then here in the States, it'll be a little more tough for people on the West Coast, but I'm considering doing slightly shorter live streams more frequently. Let me know. Is that something you're interested in? Because this is kind of a long one. I'm not going to lie. This is a longer stream, but here's the thing, guys. It's the merge. We got to talk about all sides of the ecosystem today, at least. This is warranted, I think. So Ethereum, though, kind of crazy that the hash rate hasn't dropped by, say, 80% or 90%. WTF. Am I right? Right? I mean, come on. Let's be very real here. That should have really dropped off a cliff. 321% over on Ethereum Classic, but its hash rate was relatively low, right? We see that measured in terahash, its hash rate was relatively low. Now the pool's hash rate, we've got a higher hash rate on Ethereum Classic than we have on Ethereum. Network hash rate is what's disconcerting, right? Network hash rate for Ethereum, we have people that were running their own pools or that were doing their own solo mining or groups that were doing so, and they still have more than double the hash rate of Ethereum Classic. In what universe does this make any sense? Guys, wake up, get your friends woken up, right? Go drive across town, splash them with some cold water and be like, bro, what are you doing? You're killing the grid, you're wasting money, you're wasting time. Plus, I love you too much. I love you too damn much. You got to change your rigs. So, anyway, that was a little Godfather-ish, wasn't it? Whatever. I don't know how you roll with your friends, but really, friends don't let friends do this. Change your rigs from Ethereum, get back over to Ethereum Classic, or whatever you're going to do, and do it ASAP. The fact that this hasn't dropped by a greater percentage is baffling. Like, what is going on there? Somebody didn't get the memo, but large groups of people didn't get the memo. So either that or whatever. It's probably a government institution. This tells me it's probably a government institution. Okay, it's fully explained now. This is a U.S. government institution. There's a 3-letter agency somewhere that has taken over, say, like NVIDIA's render farm or something, and this is being run by a government employee. That I can believe, right? Doesn't that explain this? The fact that they haven't fully taken this off the network yet. It's like, okay, this is the efficiency of a government institution. Problem solved. Oh, okay. I was going to lose sleep over this, guys. I was confused. I was like, gosh, okay. Is it like whatever? Is it a bunch of like, is it Exxon Mobil employees? Is it Bitsby tripping? Some of his contacts on Capitol Hill? And then I was like, oh, government. It's the answer to what's wrong in the world. All right. So moving on. Let's check to see what our current transaction fees are like. Just using TX Street, it's a really fun visualization. As you're aware, we know, there we go, last block 1 hour ago. That's not very nice. We don't like that. Median contract fee. Let's check to see what our median gas price is as well. Over on the Ethereum side, yeah, we got stuff going on Bitcoin. A little less concerned about that right now, but we'll pop up our usual data points there with the median fee in sats per VByte, measured in Satoshis per VByte. Very low, 71 cents over there. Median contract fee over on Ethereum, also quite low, under $5. Gas price, 27.4 Gwei, and median transfer fee, under $1. We are at slightly higher levels for fees on Ethereum, our first day of proof of stake, than we were our last day of proof of work. You can't say we didn't try to warn you. Serpent did. I did. BBT did. SOAT did. We all tried, right? Like, we all tried. But there you go. Red Panda Mining, I don't know if he talks about price that often, but I'm sure if he talked about it, and fees, He probably tried to warn you too. So just saying, guys, no shockers at all. Gas price not going down the way anybody hoped, and it won't. That's the big secret. It won't. Not anytime soon. And I think as soon as we start seeing proper MEV injection, once we start seeing real manipulation, it's on. It's on. These validators are going to be getting away with murder. Not literally, but practically. All right, DeFi Llama. What do we got by way of, we might not have much. No, Ethereum, we definitely do have a drop. Oh my gosh, an 8-point drop in Ethereum's dominance. You can't quite identify it there. It's such a sharp drop at the end. 8-point drop in Ethereum's dominance across all DeFi chains. Yikes. This is measured in total value locked, so all the tokens and everything else going on in the ecosystem. We clearly had a lot of so-called capital flight, right? People saying like, I don't know if I should trust the merge. I don't know if I should trust Ethereum. I'm getting my coins. I'm getting out of here, right? You can't blame them. A lot of people were worried about that, but an 8% drop in the terms that Ethereum works in, that's billions of dollars. That's quite a bit. So let's see what the change is there. 24-hour change, 26% down in TVL. TVL currently listed at 23 billion. Ooh, that's rough. Okay, let's go ahead and put some filters on this. Let's add in our staking numbers. That should help create a more level playing field. Yep, 2% pop. Any kind of pooled staking, any kind of borrows, any kind of double counts, and then any kind of liquid staking. So it's kind of rough. Kind of a rough situation. Wow, all the borrows and stuff actually dropped it below 50% dominance. And with all things considered, no, I lied. So there we go. And did I misread that? No, I did not. Did I? 59%. Guys, am I being a complete dunce right now? Latrell says it must be that employee's day off, LOL. Needs to update his SOP, right? Like, yeah, it's crypto, idiot. Take no days off. That's really the memo, right? When you work with traditional companies and governments, they hate hearing that it's like, oh, the network never has downtime? You mean like, so it's like a 5 nines type thing? Yeah, it's like a 5 nines type thing. Yeah, that's what it's like in crypto. We don't get holidays, weekends, breaks, etc. But here's the other thing. If you're single in crypto, you also don't get a girlfriend. So you don't need any time off. Time off is for the weak. You will rest when you're dead. All right. Jokes aside, I was literally talking earlier about how I actually totally need to respect my body and its need for rest. Guys, that's a massive jump there when we consider all of the other additional options, the staking all the way out to the liquid staking, the liquid derivatives. So I talked about this on the miner powwow, the mining roundtable, and I'm one of the few miners that has done work for consultative work in DeFi, right? So in DeFi and in marketing and for some of these groups. Disclosure, you guys heard me talk about Dogechain really early on, that meme coin chain that allows you to get utility out of Dogecoin, because I knew people who were working on it, right? I was kind of close to the team that was working on it and then prepping some of the marketing content and materials there. Without going into like gory detail, no, I haven't taken a payout to talk about them. I just know them very well because of how I'm positioned in my day jobs, right? My consulting jobs. So DeFi, I've tried to wrap my head around a little more. Speaking of wrapping your head around stuff and wrapping things, right? So staked derivatives. These are liquid staking. What is liquid staking? Let me briefly just mention liquid staking so we know what that means when we check that box. It just means that we're making like, we're wrapping a token, rather we're staking a token somewhere. A centralized platform or a decentralized platform is staking a token for you and then giving you a synthetic derivative of that token. So it's like me saying, all right, we're doing the staking pool of mineyour.biz. Send me 32 ETH. Don't really do that, right? I don't want to get shut down on YouTube. But we're pretending. Send me 32 ETH and I'm going to give you 32. I'm going to call them MYB ETH, right? Little lowercase MYB uppercase ETH. It's a staked ETH, right? Like, of course I have it. I have it. I can prove it on chain. So here you go. You can go spend these in the market. It's like literally having your cake and eating it too. It's like having your steak and eating it too, right? And spending it too. So that's liquid staking in a nutshell. It sounds almost dishonest, right? Except for the entire industry has agreed that it's not dishonest, and we're just gonna kind of take out loans on all the crypto that we have. We're gonna make derivatives of everything and do synthetic versions of everything and stake everything and give people an extra token for everything. So it's kind of like the participation award, the participation trophy of finance. Instead of having hard assets that are provably scarce and, and unduplicatable, we're duplicating everything. And I mean, that is the sign of a mature financial ecosystem. The mercantile exchange, right? Issuing people pieces of paper based on real things that they held in a warehouse somewhere, right? Barrels of gunpowder, barrels of wine, fine pieces of art, fancy, very, very fancy, candles and things that are just being held somewhere in a warehouse and then giving you a piece of paper saying that you own it. This is common, but it's weird to see when we think about crypto being this sovereign thing that's a hard asset. But yeah, when you put all those options in place, you see the dollar amount for Ethereum, it's almost double, right? Nearly double, because we have these staked derivatives of everything, these staked synthetic versions of everything that are wrapped. So kind of crazy. That does pop it all the way up to 59% dominance when you add all that in. So basically, it sounds messed up to say it, but for ETH to be dominant past 50%, kind of needs to cheat, right? It needs to give you staked derivatives of everything, synthetic versions of everything. But man, DeFi is crazy that way. And that's why you got so many people who move from proof of work into DeFi. I know not so fast over on crypto Twitter. I remember the DeFi Summer 1. He was very critical of DeFi till I tagged him. I added him. And I'm like, bro, have you tried it yet? And he did, and he got hooked. Same with NFTs. He was a long time, conscientious objector. And then he jumped in and got kind of hooked because it's easy money. It's hard not to be hooked on easy money. So yeah, looks like the list is now Ethereum, BSC, Tron, Avalanche, Solana, Polygon just forcefully ejected out of the top 5. It's got a significant dip downward, which to me is crazy because it just penned that deal with Starbucks, right? Like the hits keep coming for Polygon, right? Where it's like, oh, you got it accepted into Disney's accelerator program and you just penned a deal with Starbucks for their NFTs. Like, really? How are we doubting that Polygon is going to do big things, right, in the future? I'm not going to say they're going to be the most dominant Ethereum virtual machine, so, EVM type chain, because that's the thing. BSC has taken the crown and it has not looked back. It's widened the gap so far that almost nobody can touch it in those terms yet. Avalanche is trying to, Tron is trying to, but will they catch up? I don't know. So for Polygon to catch up in terms of TVL, there would have to be a lot of volume on that new partnership with Starbucks and with some of the luxury brands and stuff. So it's pretty interesting. So Zono is asking more questions about cartoons, and you know what? I think you may have found my love language, Zono. Yes, I did watch Tom and Jerry, the original Tom and Jerry. I did watch the original Tom and Jerry. It's no big secret. So we'll do a little personal segment here, guys. A little segue. My dad worked at Hanna-Barbera Studios, and they did what is it? I forget their first names. Is it Joseph Barbera? I forget Hannah's first name. The point is, they were longtime animators who did work on Tom and Jerry. So, like, that's what we had in the house growing up. I didn't watch at all times. I didn't watch the new stuff. Ironically, I watched a lot of Tom and Jerry, the classic Tom and Jerry stuff. And then I watched a lot of anime because of my dad's coworkers. Like, I watched all the Miyazaki stuff in the 1980s when nobody else had it. Because his coworker was like a completely degenerate pirate, right? Like, anytime he got his hands on any new anime, he would record it for us. Pretty crazy stuff. So Zono keeps deleting comments though after making them. It's okay. It's okay. You got to save space here, Zono. I didn't say you couldn't ask. Just said I wouldn't answer all the time. But there you go. You got me. You got me with one. All right. So that's the lineup of DeFi guys. Is Ethereum going anywhere? That's the big question we want to ask and answer there. No. Sean says it's William Hanna and Joseph Barbera. I think that's right. You even got the spelling right there with Barbera. It's not the way people normally expect it, but yeah, I think you got it right. So yeah, my dad worked in animation and he worked in comic books before that. I know. You guys are wondering, Seth, mind your biz. Why are you not entirely devoted to NFTs in this space? That's a much more involved answer, I think, because the family does own some of the originals that my dad worked on. It's a much more involved answer. Who knows? Maybe at some point I will do that for the family, but that's not how I make my money. I don't make my money off of my dad's reputation. So it was just cool. It was cool to grow up in that environment, though. All right, guys. That's Ethereum, though, in a nutshell. Take a look. No, map of zones is not going to help us find any truth right now. Let's take a look at our current profitability over on GPU, or what to mine. This is going to be fun to see what the day one is right here. Go back up to 14 cents per kilowatt hour power is what we typically do. And let's see. I'm getting a little bit tired of that. Alrighty. See the RTX 3090. We don't have the 3090 Ti just yet over here. Looks like it has dropped off of the chart. Nope, it's just dropped so far down on the chart that it's hardly showing anything at all. Current stats for Ergo are not accurate, and at least on what to mine. So that's unfortunate to see, but apparently the current stats are not accurate over on what to mine at all. But we've got Nimic, we've got Ergo, we've got Rio showing profitability at the top of the list. Oh my gosh. If any institutional miners are watching, please don't mine Rio. You're going to destroy that network. It's below $1 million total market cap right now. You will absolutely shred that network to pieces. Don't do it. The Ergo ecosystem can support it, right? It's got that deep market cap with really good market depth on exchange right now. You're not going to destroy anything by doing that. And I think that's probably just fine, right? So just be very, very cautious about what you do there. But we got Nimic, Ergo, NiceHash for Autolycos. You got a bunch of non-miners that are trying to get in on the Ergo mining right now while it's still profitable. And I can't blame them. Here's the thing. They're going to probably get ahead by doing that. And I'm not too proud to admit, I have used NiceHash on the buyer side to drop a hash bomb on networks where I saw there was a switchover. It's at times like these that you can do that, right? Don't tell anybody you heard it from Uncle Seth here, but you can use NiceHash right now as a very tactical tool for you to scope out a mining arbitrage opportunity and figure out like, okay, well, right now, for example, Ergo, profitable to mine. I don't want to scale up to having a warehouse full of miners. Right? You see where I'm going with this. And so you're just using some of your buyer's fee on NiceHash to arbitrage or to get a quick, like, whatever, 10%, 20%, 30% lift in your portfolio. Does that make sense? And if you're trying to acquire Ergo, then you're going to get it in the native asset. You're not going to have to buy it on exchange. You are going to have to KYC and do NiceHash's whole thing, but you're going to get the Ergo that you just mined fresh as Coinbase transactions. And you're going to do so at a slight discount over spot if you were going to go buy them at an exchange. So some people do this. I know I've done it before in the past, but in particular, when there's been a network hash rate or a network proof of work changeover where I knew I'd have a lot more hash power by buying it in bulk off of NiceHash, as opposed to trying to get myself like 15 more GPUs or 100 more GPUs. I could buy the relative hash rate on NiceHash just at its current market value for the hash rate. You know what I mean? Like, it was just a way better value. And then run that for a day or two and just basically nuke that network with hash rate that I had rented and gain like a significant, in some cases, double-digit Coinbase rewards, right? So right off the top of that network for about a day. And I've done that in the past. It works, but you have to be really careful about how you do that. So anyway, I just described it, give you an audible there. Maybe we'll go over how that's done by some of the other players in the space. But yeah, I'm not surprised to see that the NiceHash is coming up on ethpow and on Autolycos, because you've got non-miners that are seeing like, yeah, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for cheap, we'll say, instead of free. Not going to buy mining rigs, but I am going to buy the hash rate. So there you have it. Yep, Caspa got K Heavy Hash. That sounds like a rapper's name, doesn't it? K Heavy Hash. K Heavy Hash in the Heezy. I'm here to drop the 10 peasy on your Caspeasy. Come get it. That's what the kids are saying these days, right? I'm not out of touch. No, it's the kids who are wrong. All right, so moving on down, got Vertcoin coming up on the list, Flux coming up on the list, Bitcoin Gold coming back from the dead, basically. I don't really understand why it still exists, but it's there, right? It's there. No special fancy anything about it. Conceal Network on the list of profitable coins. Then Caspa, the last one. As we start to drop down the list, guys, we're starting to see less and less profit, right? And only a few coin profiles that are profitable for some of these card profiles. But Ergo is top of the list for a lot of these cards, especially looks like the full unlocked cards. Maybe some of the LHR models are a little bit less profitable on Ergo. But moving on down the list, it stops being profitable at... Oh, it pains me to say it. GTX 1080, 6650, and this is on 14 cent per kilowatt hour power. Let's be very clear. But even the 1080 Ti, kind of getting punched in the face. The old 1060, not doing so hot. Caspa, maybe. And then the Polaris Edition cards do not appear profitable with what's listed over on What to Mine. Let's drop this down on level ground with our ASIC. Right? So we've talked about this before. We'll talk about it again. This is the time to go make friends across the tracks and to source cheap power in your zip code if you can, or close to your zip code if you can. If you do have to co-locate, do it close to home, right? Don't go ship your rigs off to somebody you don't know, somebody you've never met, and don't waste the money of like flying out there multiple times to go see them either, right? That's crazy. You're going to miss out on any profit that you would have gained. Go find somebody who's driving distance, who's super cool, who will, if you can, will let you run a mining operation for them, right? But you just get their cheap power. That's the way the pros do it. Or that, I guess, the pro-ams do it, right? Like if you got a few gigahash of power. So now we're looking at 7 cents per kilowatt hour power. Go to the bottom of the list, and everything is in the profit except for the old R9s, or the old R9 380s. Even the 1050 Ti is back in the profit if we get that 7 cent per kilowatt hour power, but only if we have that really cheap power. Polaris cards are back in single-digit pennies for profitability. You hate to see it, but there it is. You have to really overclock the crap out of them to get anything really profitable out of those. But everything else is doing pretty darn good after you get that 7 cent per kilowatt hour power. Just saying, it just boils down to that one cost, that one variable. What are you paying for your power? All right, let's take a look at our portfolios. Let's see. And oh my gosh. Oh, geez. That's not what I wanted to see. Okay. We had the watcher.guru merge tracker before. We're not going to deal with that anymore. We might take a look at some other sources in the future, but just to say that's no longer going to be lined up for any of our content in the near future. What we are going to look at is our portfolios, though. So let's do a deep dive into the portfolios. GPU mineable coins, Flux is still the one to beat in the long-term HODL strategy. Ravencoin is up by 62%, but it was down by 70% not long ago. So even Steven, I guess. But in the long term, Flux has absolutely eaten Raven's lunch. It is not a higher market cap, but that's all the more reason that it potentially has even more headroom for growth. Flux is absolutely, between just those two assets, if it were just Flux and Ravencoin, if every other coin stopped being proof of work mineable, it would be Flux all day. You'd be crazy to only mine Ravencoin. Now, should you diversify your hash rate? That's a question only you can answer. But in my opinion, Ravencoin has failed to prove its purpose. It's failed to justify its existence repeatedly. And I went out of my way to go talk to Tron Black face to face about its future, its roadmap, things that might be coming up, why an average retail participant would care to use Ravencoin. I found the responses a little bit lacking in substance for a retail person. Now, the idea of restricted assets, the idea of having assets that could be viewed as securities by the SEC and properly categorized as security token offerings or security assets by the SEC. I get it. That's a play, and maybe that works out for them. It's a way to move forward. But then trying to backpedal into the space of NFTs and say, no, we do NFTs now, I just don't see it being a cohesive message or a cohesive vision and roadmap for any kind of a coin project. So Raven, I just don't see it. I'll put it that way. And in my opinion, it's Flux over Raven every day. And the numbers play out. The numbers bear that out. mineyourbiz has been keeping the receipts on this paper tracker for over a year. And Flux has absolutely dominated Ravencoin at every interval, every month, every quarter, and over the year. So I don't understand why anybody would be interested long-term in Ravencoin at this point. So just saying. Let's see. Chris Stewart asks a question. I want to jump straight into that. Says, did the F fork happen successfully? Just curious, and sorry if you already answered this question. Hey, no, it's not a dumb question. Here's the thing, guys. Before I got into consulting, I was an educator, right? That's the thing. Like, I've always done something that was education focused and education heavy. I know the whole, like, those who can't do, teach. Not true. Those who can do, mentor and educate, right? You bring other people up. And that is the measure of real success, how many people you've helped. So I don't believe in stupid questions. I believe in stupid educators who ignore questions and in stupid people who fail to ask questions. I love questions. So thanks for asking. It went through successfully. We're seeing blocks go through. The gas fees are the same, actually a little bit higher after that change. And we have yet to see if those gas fees will go up even more. I suspect that they will, that gas fees are going to go up more now that we're on proof of stake than they were on proof of work, in part because you've got that retail narrative, people saying, oh, the fees are going down. They're going to use the network more and they're going to drive the fees up, ironically. But also, we're going to see MEV and flash bots. So MEV boost and flash bots. So we're going to see all kinds of interference come in very, very soon. That's my prediction, is that the fees are going to get worse now under proof of stake in the short term than they were on proof of work. Now, will they burn a whole bunch of stuff as well? Yes. Is it going to look deflationary? Maybe on paper. But I think we're also going to see fees go up and gas fees be the same for the average user. So we're already seeing that today. All right, Flux, absolutely dominating Raven coin. Let's see what's at the bottom of the list. Is there anything that's kind of a Hail Mary down here? We've got the Haven project that's at $7.7 million. Zano at over $6 million, up by 15%. Definitely GPU mineable, so don't count these out. Now, it's hybrid over at Zano between proof of work and proof of stake, so just be aware of that. Conflux has a very high market cap, so you could mine into incredible future strength there. So it's got good market cap, I should say, but it could 10x into a $1 billion market cap without too much difficulty. And we'll see. We'll see if that works. The crazy drop in price and then spike back up is, looks correlated to a lot of other assets, including, well, not Ethereum, right? Ethereum dumped, so everything else has pumped now because you're seeing capital reallocation, capital flight. So not everything is correlated to Ethereum over the last several hours or 24 hours, just over the last several days. And I think the Conflux is one of those, right? It's correlated to Ethereum, and then boom, big old pop right back up. Same with Beam. Beam just absolutely shredding right now on a tear back up. And then, let's see, Ryo currency up, but again, it's under $1 million market cap. Let's see. And Chris Stewart is asking, I'm sorry, the ETH fork happened. I apologize. I misread that. My mistake. The ETH proof of work fork has not fully launched yet that I can tell. They said it was going to be about one full day after the merge before it does successfully launch. And whether or not they successfully remove the difficulty bomb, I don't know. Apparently, they've had a lot of problems on the dev side, and a lot of the Ethereum core developer community has been mocking them all along the way. And I think rightfully so. The whole idea is kind of weird. So we'll see. I think we got another 12 to maybe, if their track record is any indication, got somewhere between 12 and 36 hours before they actually launch. I don't think they're going to launch when they said they were going to, about 24 hours after the merge. I think it's going to take them longer, possibly far into this weekend, and I think it's going to be a little lackluster. That's my prediction there too, but they haven't launched yet. All right. So let's see. And again, my apologies. Like I said, I don't believe in dumb questions. I believe in dumb educators, and I proved my point. It's great. I totally misread your question. All right. So moving up the list, though, we got a bunch of assets that are just doing great post merge. Fero's doing great. Ergo's doing great. Equilibrium not so much. Ethereum Classic clearly benefiting, but highly volatile, possibly some manipulation even. And you love to see it. There are more projects that need to be added here. Caspa's on the list. Its chart does not match that. Neoxa is dropping off a cliff right now in terms of price over the last 24 hours. But I think it's just a correction from the last week. So you've got some of these projects that look relatively strong, but don't have the same use case and maybe not the same market depth or established user base that just aren't doing quite as well. Caspa was called out by Son of a Tech as one of his top picks for mining. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see what happens there. But But, I mean, I need to do the deep dive there, guys. I have not done a proper deep dive on Caspa or Ergo. I keep threatening to, but here's the thing. There's not enough going on these networks to draw my attention organically. I make jokes about it. We don't love the idea of pictures of apes deciding what happens with finance. It's crazy, but that's the current state of things. So, you have to acknowledge the crazy and work within the ecosystem that we have. Life is what is here, not what we wish it would be, whatever, power of positive thinking. We'll will it into existence, right? Everything will be serious and just, pure currency plays again, maybe. Or maybe not. Maybe it's just going to be pictures of monkeys into the future. So we got to grapple with that. But that's why you have these other projects that do have my attention, because the pictures of monkeys have everybody else's money, not just their attention. So that's where we have to operate and what we have to support. All right, moving on in our portfolio. Hard drive mineable portfolio. We'll do this real fast, guys. We've got winners and losers. Big winner this last 7 days, Signum, and it's still on that tear upward. Didn't think I'd see it. Some of those weird peaks and valleys look almost manipulated when you get those weird sustained bottoms and weird steps and shelves, right? Like up. That can almost signal manipulation, where you've got some algorithmic trading happening to try to sustain a level, and then it breaks through against some of the other algorithms to be able to arbitrage a new price. So that's why I look at that, and I think possible manipulation. But Signum is one of those hard drive mineable projects, or proof of capacity projects, that it's kind of legacy, but it is a low cap, and that means that if it goes above a penny, it might catch the attention of retail. Who knows? Maybe it can. And if it goes above a penny, it won't break, a super high market cap. It's still only going to be like $18 or $20 million total market cap. Chia still chugging along, $35. Just whatever. I wouldn't call it the biggest loser, but it's not going anywhere. Storage is down bad, though. Siacoin also down bad. Clearly correlated to Ethereum. Probably not to Bitcoin, but more to Ethereum. All right, CPU mineable coins. What do we got here? In our portfolio here, Epic Cash and Raptorium still in those top two spots, still in the money. If you had that long-term hodl, again, I gave you a pretty solid indication of when I thought it was a good idea to take profits on those two coins. If you didn't, I'm sorry. I feel for you. But we had a lot of profit in the past, not so much now. Still not a bad idea to have held on to a little moon bag for now, but still relatively small market cap coins. The highest strength here, Monero, down bad, correlated with, the Bitcoin and Ethereum moves. So, a couple of dips this week. Yenton, Veriscoin, and then Wownero, ironically coming back up. Wownero, I think, probably not manipulated, but definitely it needs that test bench to be the unofficial test net for Monero. So I love seeing it strong. Over 6 cents. Over on ASIC mineable coins, Dogecoin. Hey, we did it. We did it. Wownero has flipped Dogecoin in its price. Love to see that in its base unit price, but we need to dig deeper, right? Dogecoin and Litecoin, the merge mineable pair, not having their best day, not having their best week. That's kind of a bummer. Bitcoin is down or up over 7 days, down over the last 24 hours. And it looks like we are seeing maybe more correlation to Bitcoin as opposed to just Ethereum. And maybe that is the thing. Like, Bitcoin still kind of does do its thing and everything else still kind of does follow. Samuel Redden jumps in the chat, says, still here watching. Thanks for keeping us informed. I really appreciate that, guys. I do try to make it informational. I do try to make it educational so we understand new things every single time that I stream. Try to make sure that somebody out there is able to unlock understanding, right? Like, I do have a strong stance against being informational only, but educational, where we make connections and we are able to function at a higher level after we learn certain things, right? So I hope some of the stuff, it helps people to connect the dots in a more meaningful way and get more out of crypto. But one of those things is, if you are mining Litecoin, you should be mining Dogecoin as well, even though they're down. That'll at least make you profitable for when they have a leg back up. Grin looking manipulated AF. Wow. Toxic. Do not touch unless you know how to swing trade. Devault down so low. That just makes my heart hurt. It really does. Bitcoin dead AF. When it's not manipulated, it's dead. Yeah. That we can call it now. Finally, that early pre-mine is being rewarded for all it's worth. FPGAs, we got Cadena way up. We've got Digibyte way down. Way down, but still ultra high market cap on Cadena or on Digibyte. We could see better days again, so I wouldn't bet against it. It's got phenomenal memes. It's got a relatively supportive community and Handshake. So I did something that was crazy the other day. I bought a Handshake domain over on namecheap.com. I'm having trouble with DNS though on that Handshake domain. I'm not getting third-party services like GitHub Pages to recognize it, which is kind of a sore spot for me. Maybe I can fix that. All right, that is our FPGA mineable portfolio. Proof of stake smart contract networks. Ethereum not at the top of the list. It's Cosmos Hub and Solana. Cosmos Hub for the win. It's the least worst performing asset this week. We have not placed. Let's see. Do we have holdings? We do have holdings in this. Actually, it's the best long-term hodl. I can't believe it. It made it to the top of our stack. I called it months ago. I told you not to sleep on Cosmos, but I didn't think it would make it to the top of the list in this way. There it is. Guys, the IBC ecosystem is extremely useful and powerful tech. It's got atomic swaps between all the different chains in the Cosmos ecosystem. It's built into the protocol. So if you're not using it, I really think you should be. And if you're going to use it, you should be using a Ledger wallet. Trezor does not support it. The Kepler wallet, which is an extension to your browser, like MetaMask, will let you use a Ledger. Practice safe crypto. Use a hardware wallet, right? It's really that simple. Just, don't be a dum-dum. Bottom of the list, least performant asset is obviously Terra Luna Classic. We haven't added Terra Luna, the new ticker symbol, here yet. It's still down 100%. So I don't care what's happening to your portfolio lately. It's just not doing well. You're crazy to speculate in that space, I think. The junk drawer. This is where we take our crazy bets. Saitama Inu is still way up, out in the stratosphere. No, we don't actually hold, what is that, $37 billion worth of it. That would be more than 100% of the current coin supply, right? There's only a $74 million market cap. I'm trying to remember how. That would be if we bought $1,000 worth of it when it launched, right? Which was impossible. The market cap wasn't $1,000. I probably need to right-size that entry. But our P&L is the same, right? The P&L is still going to be astronomically high, and the percentage value won't change. Buying at that early state on launch day would have yielded tremendous benefit. But how could you know? You'd have to be an insider. So somebody there, as an insider, has got millions of dollars worth of Saitama Inu, and they probably already dumped it on retail. So there you go. Everrise, also in the tens of millions of dollars. It's on that list of profitable coins. Luffy, UFO Gaming, Doge Elon Mars, Zion Network, and even Ampleforth and Shiba Inu doing better than anything else for the long-term hodl. We've got $1,000 of paper money in all of these coins, and several of them are still giving us significant profits, right? So UFO Gaming and Luffy, for example, you'd still have over $2,000 worth of profit to take off the top. You could do that. Hex is down pretty bad, right? 3.4 cents if you are Hexican, or if you're hex curious, right? If you're bihexual and you're just curious about what's going on over in the hex community, which I don't think it's wrong, guys. It sounds so. My gosh, how am I going to dig myself out of that one? I don't think it's wrong. We shouldn't judge just because somebody is bihexual, right? Or hex curious. So if you are curious about Hex, like I've got the new video on this channel about the Pulse chain that's going to be launching soon. Guys, I am curious about new chains launching. I am curious about Doge chain and Pulse chain and all these other chains or coin-specific chains and app-specific chains. I think that there may be a business case for some of these and an investing case for some of these, and I think you should take a closer look. It's not that you have to, but it's something that I think could yield a bigger result. Like when you speculate on some of these coins and you take just a little bit of play money, it can pay off big. It can. We've seen it in previous bull market cycles. We're going to see it again. So it would be irresponsible not in the crypto space to endorse getting out a little and trying to research some of these coins a little and making a few very small, very carefully measured speculative bets in your mining too, right? Spec mining is great. So yeah, Hex is one of those things that's performed very well in the past. Will it perform well in the future? I don't know. But it's back on discount pricing again, finally, versus its very overinflated price of 42 plus 50 cents or whatever. Whatever it was in the past, all-time high, that was way too much for that cycle. It's back getting towards reasonable pricing if you were looking for a deal there. All the way down the list, it hurts to see all these other coins that are down so bad. Down so bad. The last one we have an entry into, though, is Akita Inu, and it is basically toast, right? Akita Inu is just beat down. 94% down. Can it get worse? Yes, it can. This is crypto. It can always get worse, but it's pretty bad. The question is, will it recover? And I don't know if it's going to recover. IBC ecosystem. We got Cadena in the money. Got Cosmos Hub barely in the money. Got Shentu, Secret, Osmosis, and Thorchain. Really strong fundamental projects, right? Secret adding privacy, Osmosis giving you a DEX. That's stuff you expect. And then Thorchain or Rune giving you a cross-chain DEX with cross-chain atomic swaps. They, however, have said that they're interested in promoting the censorship of OFAC and the U.S. Treasury. That makes me less interested in what they have to offer. You tell me what you think, though. Are you a fan of Rune and Thorchain? I'm no longer, based on what they said. But Osmosis, great DEX. And Secret Network, it adds privacy. And all of this running on top of the Cosmos and Tendermint stack, or the IBC ecosystem. Pretty powerful stuff. Terra Luna Classic, getting face punched. Persistence, getting face punched. Sentinel, getting curb stomped. Akash Network, only 90% down. But just to think of more violent things, probably appropriate there too. 10 set gems. I've been a fan of this platform, this launch pad for some time. Everdome is really kind of seeing bad days. MetaHero and Fame also down pretty bad. Conga Exchange maintaining its price over $1.50, which is great to see. The Conga Exchange I reviewed briefly, and I'm pretty happy to report that it's had decent liquidity, and it's been a KYC light platform because it's based in Poland. So it's not being forced to conform to EU laws per se. It's one of the only, I think they've applied for EU membership, but they're not a Euroized country in the same way that some countries are dollarized. Most Western European countries or Western European states and Eastern European states that are member states of the EU are required to use the euro. Not so with Poland. They have their own currency, and so it's great to see exchanges set up there. And Conga Exchange has done pretty well. If you want to check it out, go to conga.myb.lol, and that is my affiliate link. It lets me know that you find it useful, but it's KYC light. You do not have to KYC under certain limits, and if you do want to KYC, you can KYC yourself and then a corporate entity, which I think is even more powerful for you to have a corporation doing your trades for you, so you can experience all the tax benefits of running crypto through your company and taking that liability off of yourself. All right, stables. Anything that's kind of out of range here? Yep. Terra USD Classic, or Terra Classic USD. USTC is now at 3.1 cents. So, wow. Okay, you can short their version of a dollar. Gemini dollar fluctuating around that dollar mark. Same with Magic Internet Money. Liquidity not having a whole lot of market cap pop that I can tell. But it's great to see that it's being used, and it is cross-platform now as well. It's cross-network. DAI still at $6.3 billion. Binance USD. And I wish I could put this in order of trading volume, because we would see Tether, then Binance USD, then USDC coin and DAI still in that fourth place. But USD coin is not as frequently used as they're trying to get you to believe. Don't believe the hype, and don't let any group that is working directly with regulators before we have a chance to go back and forth as, us, we, the people, and our advocates and lobbyists, before we really figure that thing out. So I'm glad we saw our stables. Everything's looking pretty much okay there. GPU ETH replacements. We kind of started with this. We'll finish with this. ETH Classic, top of the stack. Biggest market cap. Not growing much in market cap yet. Not yet. But we could see that change. Ravencoin getting closer to that $750 million, that I think it was its previous all-time high. So that's cool to see. By all means, keep pumping my Ravencoin bag so I can finally dump it, and then we can move on to bigger and better things. I'm still upset that I didn't sell all my Ravencoin back when it was 1,600 Satoshis per coin. Maybe we'll get it. But I'm being very serious. That is absolutely my intention to do. When we see all-time high, again, local highs with Ravencoin, I fully intend to exit that asset. I do not see a long-term value in it, personally. That's my intention now. You've been warned. I'm going to dump on you. That's just going to happen. So if we bring that price up, I am dumping. Unceremoniously, all whatever, all like $200 of my coins, whatever it is that I'm currently holding. I'm not going to move this market, but I am going to dump when we get higher. I got, Flux and Ergo. We're not surprised by that. Conflux. This is all entirely dictated by market cap right now. But if we look at 24-hour price movement, we can see in terms of mining interest, Ergo and Firo, right? I've told you to be aware of Firo. Don't sleep on Firo, right? $38 million market cap, coming back up in a big way, privacy-oriented, have their own unique privacy cryptography algorithm, which is pretty awesome. Their own ZKP that they developed in-house. Check out my interview with Ruben Yap on that. It's a long-form interview with the then steward of the Zcoin project and now steward of the Firo project. Probably going to do a follow-up with Ruben Yap. We'll be a lot more succinct in our follow-up, but this is important. Also check out, there you go, in spot number 5, Zano, my interview with Crypto Zoidberg, the first ever crypto note developer. He doxed from my channel. Got that posted here on the new channel again, updated version of it. That's a 2-year-old interview, and I'm very proud of some of those interviews, guys. So we talked to some of these people who are privacy focused, but of those top 5, only Firo and Zano are privacy focused. Zero has a privacy focus. Flux used to have ZK snarks enabled, and they disabled them, which makes me very sad. Beam, privacy focused. Epicash, privacy focused. The rest, not so much. But I think that privacy is essential, and I love seeing that privacy coins are on this list. That is our show for the day. Ladies and gents, thank you for tuning in. We had a much longer episode today. We did talk about some of the merge stuff. It's gone through successfully. We're going to check to see if ethpow actually does go through. That's on the docket for an upcoming live stream. Now that we've gotten successfully through the merge, and I've successfully showed up on Tuesdays and Thursdays during that time all the way up to the merge, how do you feel about me doing this on a regular daily basis, but just for 30 minutes? A little harder for me when I'm traveling, and I will be traveling on a few dates throughout the rest of the year. A couple of them a little less predictable. I know that I've been requested to spend some time with projects and do some consulting work in the eastern United States. So not too difficult for me, not too terribly difficult, but I've been requested in Las Vegas, LA, also Miami and New York on a couple of different dates throughout the rest of the year. So it'll be a lot more difficult for me, but I'll do it. Guys, for you, I'll do it. And we'll just stream from the phone, shall we? Here's the thing. The workstation is not the weapon. This is the weapon. And it's always true, right, guys? But I'm happy to do that on the road. Also have got a much better mobile streaming situation set up here, so happy to do that. But you let me know. 5 days a week, better? Worse? All right. Get some feedback from you. Leave a comment, of course. Smash the like button. Appreciate that you've already done that. Tell a friend. Link out to your various socials, because we need Reddit and Twitter to be aware of this live stream, guys. The new home for Mind Your Biz is still fledgling. So we're still figuring out how to make sure that we get all of the algorithm attention that we need on the new home. So your help is essential, right? Every click counts, but y'all probably count for more than just one. I think you count for 1.25, maybe even more. Jokes aside, guys, I love your face. Remember to stay private and mind your biz.